I welcome all the distinguished panelists today for our Agri-Tech and Food Tech session. To start with, I would request our Chairman, ICC Agri and Food Processing Committee and Managing Director, Premier Irrigation, Shri Shrikant Goenka. Sir, kindly come on the stage and take your seat. I would request our keynote speaker, Mr. Prakash Jairam, partner, ENY India Technology Consulting. I request Dr. Dinesh Kumar Chauhan, Head Agribusiness Innovation and Nutrition, ICRISAT. May I request Madam Rima Sathe, JSW, Women for Agriculture and Rural System, MS Swaminathan Foundation. May I request Mr. Govind Narayan Goel, CGM, ABU and QSS, State Bank of India. We have our distinguished panelists for Food Tech, Dr. Giridhar Parvatam, Director, Central Food Technologies Research Institute, CFTRI, Mysore. Sir, please come up on the stage and take your seat. May I request Professor V.M. Nayak, Professor IIT Bombay, Department of Chemical Engineering. We have with us Professor Girish M. Joshi, Professor in Engineering Physics and Materials, Institute of Chemical Technology. Sir, please come up on the stage. We have with us Dr. Prabodh Halde. I think he is here only, he will be here anytime. Who is the Head Technical Regulatory Affairs, Marico Limited. So I would request our Chairman, Sir, Sri Srikant Goenka ji, to start with his opening remarks. Mr. Halde is already with us. Please come up on the stage and take your seat. Over to you, Mr. Goenka.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, partners, and friends, good afternoon. It is my privilege as the chairman of the Agriculture and Food Processing Committee of the Indian Chamber of Commerce to welcome you to this session on Agri-Tech and Food Tech at the ICC World Technology Convention 2026 here at the Geo World Convention Center in Mumbai. Agriculture and food systems in India have the potential for a profound transition, not just because technology is available, but because transformation has become a necessity. Climate volatility, shrinking land holdings, water stress, changing consumer preferences, and the demand for safe, nutritious, traceable food are forcing us to rethink how we grow, move, and process every grain, fruit, and drop of milk. On the agri-tech side, India has quietly built some of the most ambitious foundations in the world. The government initiatives such as the Digital Agriculture Mission, AgriStack, and the Drone Subsidy Scheme are enabling the use of AI, IoT, remote sensing, and digital platforms across the value chain. More than 7.6 crore, and I'm told now that number has gone up to over 9 crore farmers and over 23 crore crop plots have already been digitized, creating the base for a truly data-driven agriculture at scale, from farm credit and insurance to advisory and input use. In our fields, smart farming is also becoming a practical reality, with farmers beginning to use soil sensors, weather-based advisories, satellite imagery, and AI-driven decision support systems to optimize water, fertilizer, and crop protection. Drones for crop monitoring and spraying, supported by the targeted subsidy scheme, and initiatives such as the Drone Didi are moving past pilot stages into wider deployment, improving efficiency, reducing chemical use, and making precision agriculture accessible across locations. At the same time, the private sector and startups have brought a wave of innovation to the farm gate. Large digital platforms and nimble agri-tech startups are now supporting millions of farmers with predictive analytics, multilingual AI chatbots, market linkages, logistic solutions, and farm to fork business models. They are helping farmers discover better prices, reduce wastage, and connect directly with consumers and processors. Yet, we must also be honest about the gaps. Adoption is still uneven. High upfront costs, limited digital literacy, patchy connectivity, and trust deficits mean that the benefits of technology often reach the largest and most progressive farmers first. Since we are serious about inclusive growth, we must design for small and marginal farmers, for tenant farmers, for women who form a large share of the agriculture workforce, and for the FPOs that aggregate their power. On the food tech side, while India is one of the world's largest producer of agriculture commodities, we process only a fraction of what we grow. The result is a significant post-harvest loss, literally value evaporating between farm and fork, and a missed opportunity to create jobs, exports, and better incomes. The good news is we know what works: automation in processing, robust cold chains, smart and sustainable packaging, and advanced food technologies can dramatically cut losses while improving quality, safety, and shelf life. Recognizing this, the government has rolled out the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, PM Kisan, the Production Linked Incentive Scheme for food processing, and policies that support FPOs and drone usage in agriculture. These efforts are helping build the physical and digital infrastructure required for a modern, globally competitive agri-food ecosystem. However, policy alone cannot deliver transformation. What we now need is genuine convergence of technology and field reality, of policy and implementation, of finance and implementation, of startups and large institutions, and of academia and industry. This is precisely, ladies and gentlemen, what this session is designed to explore. In the agri-tech segment, we will examine why some innovations scale while others remain stuck in pilots, what truly resilient technologies look like under real field conditions, and how women, youth, and farmer institutions can be placed at the center of the transformation. In the food tech segment, we will discuss the technologies and business models that can unlock value addition, reduce losses, and enhance export competitiveness, and how regulation, skills, and infrastructure must evolve to keep pace with innovation. And finally, we will look at convergence, what a fully connected, transparent, traceable farm to fork ecosystem could well look like over the next decade, and where India can genuinely lead the world in agri-tech and food tech. We are fortunate to have with us an exceptional panel of scientists, innovators, financiers, and industry leaders. My request to all of you on stage and in the audience is to keep this conversation practical and solution oriented. Let us talk about what is possible and what is implementable at scale, and how we can collaborate to make it happen. I once again extend a very warm welcome to all our speakers, partners, and participants. And I look forward to an engaging and insightful conversation which makes India or helps India get future ready with an agri system for a truly Viksit Bharat. Thank you. I want to now invite my good friend and an absolutely brilliant person who has the understanding of the agriculture and the technology space, Mr. Prakash Jairam, partner ENY, to share with us a context of what is happening around us, what all are the trends that we are seeing, what are the possibilities we are seeing, and with a request for Prakash to please moderate this session. Thank you. Thank you, Prakash.
Thank you. Thank you, Shrikant. And it's really exciting to be part of this really awesome panel. Diverse perspectives expected later in the afternoon. Brief introduction. I'm Prakash Jairam. I'm a partner with ENY. I lead technology consulting for Ernst & Young for the social sector. A big part of the work I do is actually in digital agriculture. I'm going to talk briefly about 3 projects which are digital public infrastructure that me and my team have been involved in for a good 3 to 4 years now. These are AgriStack, Krishi Decision Support System, and Vistar. These are 3 digital public infrastructure that the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare has been creating. I'll go a little bit into what digital public infrastructure is. It's all pervasive now, so everybody uses it, experiences it. It's just being reapplied to different domains. So it started with Aadhaar, of course, and Aadhaar has changed the game for so many services being delivered by answering 2 very simple questions. Am I Prakash Jairam, and who am I, right? I mean, with biometrics and a number, it answers just 2 questions. Are you who you say who you are, and who are you, right? Similarly, what we are doing in AgriStack is answering 6, I would say, simple questions. Is someone a farmer, and who is the farmer? Connecting that to who is, do they own land, and how much, and where is that land? Or extending it, as Shrikant was mentioning, to tenants, where is the land that they till, and how much land do they till? And the third set of questions is, what is the crop that is grown by the farmer on this land, and in how much area in each season? So very simple set of questions, right? But this is being done as part of AgriStack at a national scale. With the West Bengal election result, it's important because the only state that did not sign up to this was West Bengal, and they've also agreed to sign up literally as of this week. So every state and union territory, 36 of them and together, are each building their own farmer land and crop databases linked together to be made available initially to all government schemes. And over a period of time, like Aadhaar is being used by banks and telecom companies and DigiYatra and other service providers for delivering services. Similarly, AgriStack could be used by private service providers to deliver farmers a choice of services, right? So whether it's loans, whether it is market access, whether it is farm and crop specific advisory, all of this would be enabled by AgriStack. Like Aadhaar, AgriStack won't do any of this. It's for startups and government service providers to do this. The second one is Krishi Decision Support System. So today we found that startups in the agri-tech space, and last count, there's over 7,000 of them, are really struggling. In fact, one of our panelists was in a startup earlier. He can share some of his perspectives. We found that startups are wasting, I wouldn't say spending, but wasting a lot of money just to access the farmer and access data that is available about the land. It's expensive. It needs to be kept fresh. For a single transaction with a farmer, sometimes the cost is as high as 10,000 rupees. And because of verification, validation, etc. So the idea is to reduce that cost to as close to zero as possible by providing digital public infrastructure. So Krishi DSS provides weather data, satellite data, soil and soil health kind of data, other non-personal data sets, links to the farmer's farm. The third DPI is Vistar. Vistar is, in fact, it is available in Maharashtra as Mahavistar, which is a state-specific localized version of a front-end artificial intelligence voice-enabled assistant to the farmer or agricultural assistant. So the farmer can simply call up, ask a question about their land, crop, seed, fertilizer, pest, etc. And the AI, which is enabled with the package of practices, will deliver an answer. So Bharat Vistar is the umbrella national digital public infrastructure, which provides a front-end local language artificial intelligence layer. And each state is actually encouraged by the central government to create their own version of localized Vistar, which is the extension services, which in turn integrates with AgriStack and Krishi DSS. So all these data sets and digital public infrastructure come together to give a better experience for the farmer. So this is all digital public infrastructure, right? What should all of this enable? On the one hand, we're hoping huge amounts of value creation. Like today, 45+% of our population is engaged in agriculture, but it's only 15% of our GDP. Right? And it's been shrinking from 18% every year to 15%. It'll continue to shrink. Consumption patterns are changing. Production patterns can change. Precision farming can actually become a strength for India with its small farms, to where we can actually tailor make not only high value agriculture, but varietals with specific nutritional or medicinal needs for the world. So as we evolve, agriculture can actually become a precision occupation for our smallholder farmers, who can be trained with AI and other activities, and enabled to grow different crops and even expand their cropping seasons. And of course, all of this gets enabled by linkage through AgriStack. Just like UPI enables payments and makes it very easy, or ONDC aims to create a network for digital commerce from the government. Similarly, AgriStack with these other two digital public infrastructure can connect service providers, buyers, FMCG companies, seed providers, fertilizer providers, etc. So I'll stop here. The goals that we are working with is that these DPIs will create a set of rails that actually integrate a very dispersed and diverse agricultural ecosystem, and taking it forward into the food production ecosystem, enabling better traceability back to the farm and varietals and even packages of practices that have been used, thereby enabling better packaging, better positioning, better nutrition, etc., etc. I'll stop here. We've got to get to the panel, and we've got a lot of panelists. I don't want to take into their time, so we'll go in sequence. Dr. Chauhan from ICRISAT, we could start with you. I don't know if you want everybody to come here, or we'll just do it sitting down. So there's a variety of perspectives on this really, really rich panel. Let's start with Dr. Dinesh Chauhan, who's the head of agribusiness and innovation at ICRISAT. Dr. Chauhan, one of the things that I have grappled with personally is that there is a lot of innovation happening in agriculture and agri-tech, but nothing has scaled beyond maybe a few districts, a few lakh farmers. Our estimate is that there are around 15 to 20 crore farmers in the country. So what's keeping this innovation back from scaling to the entire country? And when I say innovation, I'm not just talking about technology or IT-based innovation, but also innovations in packages of practice, innovations in rapidly adopting new seeds and farming methods, etc. So if you could just give us some perspective on that.
Yeah, so first of all, very good afternoon to all of you, and I'm Dr. Dinesh Chauhan. I take care of, I'm global team leader for agribusiness, innovation and nutrition vertical at ICRISAT. So ICRISAT, as you all know, is the international organization, and our focus is primarily on dryland crops, and the dryland crops are like millets and sorghum, millets and minor millets, as well as groundnut and pulses like EPP and groundnut. So we are the only international organization which is based out of India, and we operate in India and Africa, and we have almost around 12 offices in Africa as well. So we have been doing for the last 50 years a lot of research in millet and crops like groundnut and chickpea. Most of these are like supplied to almost 100 around countries of the world, and we have almost around 1,25,000 genetic material available at our headquarters in Hyderabad. This is in brief about the organization where I am coming from, and we have one of the oldest and the first agribusiness and food incubator in the country, agribusiness innovation platform. Prior to that, I was also working in a lot of experience with food and agri value chain for the last 25 years. Right? So I have been handling. I was with one of the largest agri company in the country as well. So coming to the question of our moderator today, that what are the reasons why innovations actually are not scalable or not reaching to most of the masses. So according to my experience working for last 2.5 decades with farmers, both on the business side as well as on the not-for-profit side and research as well. So I have seen that a lot of innovations are there, but they are not actually addressing either the real problem or the problem statement. They are not actually hitting the pain point which is there. So we do a lot of innovation, but we have to also see that whether that innovation is actually addressing the pain point of the farmers or the end user. So until unless that is the use case, I think adoption will not happen. Right? So that is one very basic thing. So अगर आपको I'm sure that everybody is okay with English, or you want to use English and Hindi both. So I see a lot of people who will be more comfortable in Hindi as well. तो मैं मिक्स करके बोलता हूँ. तो अगर कोई टेक्नोलॉजी है जो कि अगर आपके किसानों के लिए है, अगर वो उनके पेन पॉइंट को एड्रेस नहीं कर रही है या रियल प्रॉब्लम को एड्रेस नहीं कर रही, तो शायद किसान उसको अडॉप्ट नहीं करेगा लंबे समय तक. तो वो एक देखने वाली बात है. और and most of these innovations or technologies, when they are invented or you take it to the ground, what happens, they are limited only to the pilot scale. So maybe they are restricted to 2 districts या एक जिले में एक 4-5 जिले तक वो टेक्नोलॉजी जाती है और उसके बाद वो स्केल अप नहीं होता. उसका कारण ये है कई बार कि most of these innovations are actually supported or backed by funding or grant, and once that grant is over, then that probably that innovation cannot be scaled up. So उसको sustainable कैसे बनाना है, ठीक है. So technology का मतलब ये नहीं कि it is always a rocket science, right? So there can be very basic solutions which can address the problem statement. And what we have seen in other industry also, most of the solutions or innovation which has come were not very complicated. So they were very simple, but they were very simple and scalable. जो कि मतलब बहुत आसान हो adopt किया जा सके. अभी क्या होता है कि we from agri-tech companies, we give you a solution and we ask farmers to do n number of activities to come to a which can help me to reach to a decision. हम आपको बोलते हैं आप ये भी करो, ये सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन डालो और फिर हम आपको बताएंगे, ठीक है. तो मैं क्या बोलता हूँ, इस ऐप में आपको ये इन्फॉर्मेशन डालना है, जब आप ये इन्फॉर्मेशन डालोगे तो फिर मैं उसको देखूंगा और फिर मैं आपको बताऊंगा क्या करना है, राइट. सो बट पॉइंट इज दैट कि उतना इन्फॉर्मेशन डालने के बाद वो आउटकम क्या निकल के आया, ठीक है. सो वेदर इट इज स्केलेबल इन कंट्री लाइक इंडिया और नॉट, ठीक है. अब मेरे पास 1 एकड़ ही जमीन है तो मुझे कितना रिसर्च चाहिए उसके लिए, ठीक है. तो एक तो वो है, तो वी एज एन इनोवेटर वी हैव टू थिंक फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव एज वेल कि व्हाट इज स्केलेबल एंड व्हाट इज वेरी सिंपल एंड व्हाट इज डूएबल, right? So information and the whole thing is that technology is dependent upon a lot of data points. So until and unless that data point is correct, the result will not throw correctly, right? So that is another important thing. So we need to found a technology which can actually capture the data point without much of an effort. अभी एग्रीकल्चर के केस में क्या हो रहा है कि बहुत सारा डेटा हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं फील्ड पे रोज आप लिखेंगे या आप बताएंगे या मेरा लड़का जाएगा वो नोट करेगा, वो शायद feasible नहीं है, right? तो वो एक प्रॉब्लम है, ठीक है. We need a lot of effort is required to train everyone, and then every second guy is coming with some new technology, right? And he wants you, the same farmer, to do n number of things. Farmer is getting at least 10 people coming to him saying that look, I have got a new solution, right? अभी मिट्टी की जांच के लिए भी पता है 4 तरीके से लोग आ रहे हैं, बता रहे हैं कि भाई ऐसे करेंगे तो ये मेरी ये वाली मशीन है, ये आपको मिट्टी की सरकार भी बता रही है कि हमारे पास भी लैब है. There is another one who is coming to and saying that you use our app and then it will give you the right kind of
information कि आपको हम बता देंगे आपकी मिट्टी में क्या है. I am not saying that all those technologies are not good, but the thing is that how many technologies we require to address one simple problem statement. So as you are mentioning about DPI और जो आपने बोला technology and then data availability, so maybe a lot of things can be simplified. Then everything has to be connected with the market also, right? So when we are doing an innovation, at the end of the day, if as a consumer or as an user or as a farmer, if I am not getting value out of it, so it is not very much of interest. तो अगर आपको उससे उसका आप अगर कुछ भी काम कर रहे हैं या कोई भी टेक्नोलॉजी आप यूज कर रहे हैं, अगर उससे अंत में आपको कुछ प्रॉफिट में नहीं बढ़ता है आपका, या आपकी उपज को मार्केट में नहीं बिकती है, तो उस टेक्नोलॉजी का कोई फायदा नहीं है. So for example, we say that we are going to invent a new technology. I will give you a very simple use case. So we say that we do biofortification of crops, right? And the biofortification of crops can help in increasing the nutrient availability, and it can address the improving the nutrient security of the country or community, right? But the point is कि why farmer will adopt a biofortified crop? ठीक है, किसान क्यों एक क्रॉप, पहली बात तो किसान धान या गेहूं से शिफ्ट होके, मान लीजिए मैं बोलता हूँ कि आप मिलेट पे चले जाओ या कोई और फसल को लगाओ, तो आप पहली बात आप क्यों लगाओगे उसको? ठीक है, चाहे भले ही वो अच्छी टेक्नोलॉजी है, चाहे वो भले ही उससे न्यूट्रिशन बढ़ रहा है, तो आप तो उसमें अल्टीमेटली यू विल सी दैट कि हाउ योर प्रॉफिट इज गोइंग टू come up at the end of the day. So whether my innovation is also addressing that solution or not. Then if I talk from the perspective of a business, right, from Marico or any other company or Hindustan Lever, or ITC for that matter, or any large companies, so they will buy a biofortified crop, right? So they will be seeing from their perspective, what is the output for me and whether consumer is going to use it or not. So if I am going to come up with a new variety, अगर मैं कोई नई वैरायटी का आविष्कार करता हूं एज ए साइंटिस्ट, तो वो क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट है, ठीक है, वेदर को सस्टेन कर रही है, दैट इज गुड थिंग. सो फार्मर विल यूज दैट once it is a climate resilient variety. Secondly, we have to see that whether it is actually helping in realizing improving the value for the farmer as well, and also whether consumer is going to use it or not. So it is increasing the value for the farmer only when consumer is going to use it, and there is a demand for it. Sorry, yeah. So I will stop here, right?
I think it all boils down to, is someone willing to pay for it at the plate?
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no point in. I think as startup entrepreneurs or innovators, it all boils down to that: who's going to pay, and is someone actually going to be willing to pay? So thanks for that perspective. Just moving on to Ms. Sathe next, and I'm just going to stick to the order because it's a lot easier that way. So one of the things that we have noticed, and we were having this conversation a little earlier as well, is that building on again, Srikanth, your point, we think only half the farmers actually are tilling their own land. Around half are actually tilling other people's land. And a big percentage of that is also women. And I don't think that either the state, when I say the state, I don't mean any specific state, but the government or the ecosystem actually is doing enough to recognize that and adapt to that. So just wanted your perspective on inclusivity, both in terms of gender and in terms of marginalized communities that are involved in farming. What can we do better, and especially what can digital public infrastructure and the government do to make things better? Some thoughts on that.
Thanks, Prakash. And of course, thanks ICC for having me here. I don't know if I should say it's a privilege to be the only woman on the panel, but but feels like a moral obligation to talk about or represent all the women that I meet on the ground and at the grassroots as well. I think, Prakash, the problem of inclusivity, whether we talk about women or smallholders, has the nuances of what Mr. Chauhan also shared in terms of real problem kya hai. I think when we are looking at technology, the first question that we need to ask is that who are we making this for? And in a country like ours, we need to understand that 80% of our farming population are smallholders with extremely fragmented lands. 80% of our women population in rural areas are women as well, and who are dependent on agriculture as a primary source of their livelihood. So जब हम ये टेक्नोलॉजी बना रहे हैं, क्या हम ये 80% औरतों के लिए बना रहे हैं या ये 80% small holders के लिए बना रहे हैं. And I think there's enough research out there which shows that there's going to be a continuous fragmentation of land and feminization of agriculture in India. So I think these are two very important statistics that probably need to be centered at the outset and when we are creating the architecture for any technology per se. And as Prakash mentioned, I think we were having a very interesting conversation on DPI. And I was asking him that, how are we making sure that the inequalities which represent on the ground are not being scaled by, say, a huge structure like, say, the DPIs as well. Because I very strongly feel that technology scale bhi kar sakta hai inclusion ko, but it can also multiply the exclusion that already exists. And I think that is the problem that we face on the ground at the moment. So agar aap, for example, one of the things that we assume when we implement technology on the ground is that ki sabke paas land ownership hai, या सबके पास स्मार्टफोन एक्सेस है, या सबके पास इंटरनेट है, या सबके पास लिटरेसी है, and they have capital to sort of access this technology. And now when I look at any of these variables, women are disproportionately do not have access to a lot of these things. So how are we making sure कि ये जो governance के data में जो inequality exist कर रही है, how is it not translating into something, say a DPI? Even in technology per se, for example, I just came back from Gadchiroli. I'm not sure if you know about or if you have heard about Gadchiroli, but it was infamous until 3 or 5 years ago for Naxal influence. Now, because our Honorable Chief Minister is the guardian minister for the district, it has got a lot of attention in terms of development as well. So I was sitting with this group of 15 women in a remote village called Haiti. एंड वो बताते हैं कि मैडम हमको इक्विपमेंट तो दे देते हैं बट हमें सिखाते ही नहीं कि इक्विपमेंट चलाना कैसे है. सो we assume that implementation of technology or access to technology is equal to ownership by the beneficiaries, especially women as well. So if हम उनको अगर मशीन दे रहे हैं लेकिन अगर हम उन्हें चलाना नहीं सिखा रहे हैं एंड अगर हमको उनको मशीन खराब हो गई तो इसको मेंटेन, it sounds very simple. But imagine that in a remote village, which is 500 kilometers away from a center like Mumbai, अगर वहाँ एक मशीन खराब हो जाती है, सालों साल वहाँ पे ठीक करने के लिए नहीं आता है. So the point being, and I come back to where I started from, for me, truly inclusive technology means, and let me point it out from the perspective of women, कि when we design technology from the life course or the lived realities of these women, आप टेक्नोलॉजी बना के विमेन के पास मत ले जाइए, बट आई थिंक द टेक्नोलॉजी नीड्स टू बी डेवलप्ड विद द विमेन एंड नॉट फॉर विमेन. आप उनको हैंड में जाके मत दीजिए बिकॉज आई डोंट थिंक दैट्स गोना डू एनी बेनिफिट टू देम. सो वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द लिव रियलिटीज ऑफ स्मॉल होल्डर्स एंड विमेन. हमें उनके साथ ये टेक्नोलॉजी बनानी है. And I don't think technology stands alone on its own. We need to see, does it have the right infrastructure around it? Does it have the right policy support? Does it have financing support? Does it have, whatever logistics, ecosystem, or say, is it built in a way that it uses collectivization, which often works in rural ecosystems? So I think for me, technology will be truly inclusive if it is not blind to social variables of gender, caste, class, and a lot of other discrimination that we see in our society. So, yeah.
So I have, a quick follow-up question for you. Again, I'm kind of going back to my own experiences. A lot of the work that I've started doing over the last 10 years has actually been inspired by a small incident in Greaves Road Post Office in Chennai, where I was implementing a banking system for India Post, where we had there was one man and about 20 women in the room who were the employees of the post office. And we were wondering whether we would be able to take the system live or not. And all the women said, I'm going to switch to Tamil. It's like, Neenga baatla pannungo nanga pathupom, which translates to, aap aage badho, hum aapke piche hain, hum sambhal lenge. And I've found that in all my experiences when we are out in the field, the drivers of change are often the women in the rural areas. They are very open to leapfrog the divide Uh, do you share that perspective? Because we make it a point to try and take the women along, because change happens a lot easier if we do that. Any thoughts on that? Do you share that perspective or a different perspective on that?
No, 100%. And Prakash, actually, before MS Swaminathan Foundation, I have, for more than a decade, I was a social entrepreneur myself in the agri-tech space. Not agri-tech, I would call it. Actually, I don't want to call myself tech at all. I would say that we used to work on women's economic empowerment and used to work on developing value chains which are owned by the communities. And I remember जब मैंने काम शुरू किया था, I was based in Bombay, and we went to a small tribal village in Gujarat. And we were trying to, BIF ke saath, we were trying to develop sun-dried tomatoes. And it was a Sunday. And हमारा टमाटर का लोड जो था वो नासिक से आया था. It was about 16 tons, and we had to process it that day because we had a delivery in Bombay next day. And जब हम वहाँ पे, and there were no workers because most of the workers were men, and nobody showed up. And we were like 3 young founders wondering कि हम करें क्या इस चीज का. And suddenly a woman said that, madam क्या हो गया? And we said कि ऐसा ऐसा है, कल जाना है, माल जाना है, factory कैसे चलाएं? So she said, can one of you teach me how do I operate these machines? I will bring more women who are my friends and family from the village. हम बाजू में ही रहते हैं. We will run the factory for you. So I very much share that opinion that, yes, I mean, from your experience, that this women in Chennai said that, you know, आप आगे बढ़िए, हम आपके साथ हैं. I think that's what I've experienced. And I think I have traveled across 19 states so far in my career, and everywhere I go, I think women are at the forefront. But with that, one thing that I want to add is कि क्या होता है कि जब women are enterprising, they are risk taking, but at somewhere I think we forget. For example, Shrikant mentioned about Krishi Didi, and we have now drone Didis. I think we forget that in the middle of all these hype or all these innovations, are we forgetting that, are we increasing the burden of the women in some way? So we need to be mindful of the fact that she is the producer of the farm, she's farming, she's also the caretaker of the household. And if we are introducing a technology, are we reducing her drudgery and care burdens, or are we invariably increasing it? And also, when we are implementing any of this, are they also being compensated, is a very important question that I just wanted to highlight, along with the nature of women being enterprising and at the forefront. So, yeah.
No, thank you, Rima. Moving on to Mr. Goyal. So I think Dr. Chauhan mentioned this also, and money is critical to making anything sustainable. And to put it very, very simply, right? And I think, how are you seeing agriculture finance evolving in the digital age? And I want to kind of go back to set the stage on this question. See, when COVID happened, we saw this huge influx of Chinese apps giving loans in 5 minutes. Of course, followed it up with very bad collection practices. But at least it opened up the expectation to the possibility that you can get a loan in 5 minutes, 5,000 rupee loan, etc. Right? As we work on the entire value chain, not just agriculture, but also the MSMEs involved in food processing, etc., we find that getting a loan processed through the government, whether it's a Mudra scheme or even a KCC as it stands, or any other loan through interest subvention subsidies, is very, very cumbersome and time consuming, right? And some of the work that we are doing is to try and get that Chinese loan moment for small entrepreneurs and agriculturists. What are your thoughts on how far away is that, and what's holding it back?
Yeah, good afternoon. First of all, thanks, Prakash. I will start from you only. You start the session on the agri-tech. So, though I belong to financial market, unfortunately, I am technocrats also did MTech from IIT Kharagpur. But okay, keep it apart. Now, even nobody can ignore the technology. Without technology, there is no life at all. Whether it's you are in a rural area, Gadchiroli, Etapalli, I have visited even deep of the Gadchiroli. Bamragat is the last point of the Maharashtra of the Gadchiroli. So even those people have also adopted the technology in the form of a mobile and all these things. So let me come to the exact point what you mentioned, DPI. DPI is, you can understand like trinity of the Jandan. You are having Aadhaar card, you are having a that mobile app, and then you can open a saving bank account also. So put together, it to create a lot of, and that UPI is what we are seeing right now. Similarly, that is going to very, very big game changer. Agri-Stake, that already 9 crore farmers registered ID has been created, and land ID has been created, and crop registry has also been created. So this one side, Agri-Stake one side, IoT is the second side, and then you see what we call satellite image. So by put together, farmer sitting at the home, he can decide what amount of water I have to supply, what amount of fertilizer, nutrient I have to supply. So this is the technology, but I'm not talking much about the technology, but what banks are adopting the technology. Can you guess how much time it should take to get a 2 lakh rupee KCC? If I say it take 15 minutes, will you agree? 15 minutes, and you can experiment yourself. If you belong to Karnataka, you belong to Maharashtra, you belong to MP. And we are extending to Gujarat also. And it is coming in all across the country. It may be the matter of time, 1 year, 6 months, depends how the Agri-Stake have a agreement with the state governments, all these things to provide the revenue record. But it's very, very easy by sitting at the home. If you if you are the farmer of the Karnataka or Maharashtra, you visit the Jansamarth, you create your login ID, you put your Aadhaar number, mobile number, you will get OTP. Then you put you put your land records that will be matched from the Agri-Stake. Then you put a crop. So based on your size and land size, crop SOF is there. You will be shown as a certain limit. Okay, you are eligible for this much amount of the loan. Once you tick, loan will be sanctioned. Then documentation. This is the biggest problem. So then OTP will be sent to your mobile along with the documents. You just put a OTP, amount will be credited into your account. So hardly it takes 15 to 20 minutes, believe me. So this is the technology.
Sir, one question is there. How the documentation is completed? Because without going into branch, how
Yeah.
the documentation?
That's what I'm saying. Not only, that's what I see. Documents is a standard format. Based on your name has been verified from the Aadhaar. Your CIC has been checked. And then your account detail already with the bank. So all put together, your eligibility comes. Suppose you are having a 1 acre land and you want a rice. For example, I am giving a crude example. And the SOF the rice, scale of finance of the rice of particular your state and your district, suppose 20,000 is the same. So your limit become 20,000. Plus 20% what 10 plus 10% what RBI is allowing for consumption purpose and technology adoption. All these things, and repair and maintenance of a farm equipment. So your eligibility become 24,000. And you are not having any loan in the bank, particularly this bank. So your eligibility will be 24,000. You have to say yes. Once you say yes, system will generate automatic all the documents. And this soft copy of the document along with the OTP will reach to your mobile. And this mobile definitely should be a smartphone, but the banks and others are working in a normal mobile also. And once you get a OTP, you just give the OTP. OTP is based on the Aadhaar number. So what Aadhaar number you are having and which mobile number is linked to Aadhaar. And the same mobile number should be linked to your saving bank account of the bank. If both are matching, then OTP will go to your mobile number. Then you give the OTP, okay. Automatically document execution will take place. It will record in the system, EDMS, and then account will be opened in the branch and limit will be credited into your account. Hardly it takes 15 to 20 minutes.
It uses the Aadhaar e-sign, which is
Yeah, Aadhaar
completely
e-sign,
valid,
yes.
valid signature. So
Yes,
everything
valid signature.
Paperless, presenceless loans in 15 months.
No, interest is that KCC, whatever 7% we are giving the KCC as per the government guidelines. Up to 3 lakh. Up to 3 lakh.
इंटरेस्ट ज्यादा होने से वो सामने वाला नहीं दे पाएगा, उसका जरूरत के लिए ले रहा है, तो वो रिफंड नहीं करने से उसका सिविल खराब होकर नेक्स्ट टाइम वो नहीं देता। हमारे वहाँ पे ऐसे प्रॉब्लम्स आते हैं।
That's I am not able to understand what you want to say, but this is the adoption of the technology, and this is the beginning. You can think about the 5 years means down the line, hardly 2 to 3 years. Not much time will take. Not only 2 lakh, you can avail whatever amount you want to be avail based on your land records, because across the country all land records will be available into the system. So this is the adoption of the technology bank has adopted. Even Mudra loan, we have our own BRE journey, business rule engine. Once you apply in the Jan Samarth, then Jan Samarth does all the due diligence. Once we talk about the due diligence, means your Aadhaar verification, your PAN verification, your CIC bureau verification, everything done by the system automatically. Your GST record also done by the verification. Your loan accounts with any bank is being done by the system itself. So that BRE journey, business rule engine, work process automatically, and it gives you immediately go no go. Suppose you apply the loan of 5 lakh rupees for under PM Mudra, and you put whatever the input, your Aadhaar number, your PAN number, and your GST number, income tax return number. So all 8, probably 7 to 8 organizations are linked to this Jan Samarth. And the Jan Samarth approach to those portals and verify your all records and fetch the data from that records, like a bureau. They fetch your bureau score from there. Then your ITR, whatever your sales is there. Then your GST return, what is your GST you are filing? So all put together, once system calculate automatically and throw to you, you are eligible for 5 lakh, 4 lakh, whatever be. And if your bureau is not correct, not fine, then you completely say, no, you are not eligible for any loan. So this is the technology what banks have adopted. And lot of work has been done and it's going on. The technology, the way country is moving, the way data is being updated, all this being taken care by the banks. And believe me, within 2 to 3 years, you will see all together. If you need not to visit the branch, you need not visit to a bank, and you need not even, and it will not take time also. By sitting at the home, and very, very conveniently, 2 to 3 days, loan amount is bigger than the FI may take place, due diligence, he can visit your home or your unit or something like this. This is the one thing. Secondly, what scalability about the technology. See, we keep on thinking a lot of, because right now more than 15 crore farmers are there in India. Out of 15 crore farmers, 12 crore farmers are the small and marginal farmers. Once we talk about the small and marginal farmer, means their land record is less than 2 hectares. But there are 1.5 crore farmers whose land holding size is 2 to 10 hectares. And then 90 lakh farmers are there whose land holding is more than 10 hectares. So if we want to scalability, then the option is the FPO. I am a small marginal farmer. I am in 1 acre, 2 acre land. What I can do? I don't have money. Or if I get money also, I am not able to generate that much money from my farm produce. So that FPO concept are coming very, very fast. So that FPO means collectivism. I don't know, whatever be the reason or cooperative system not so much successful, but FPO likely to get a very, very successful. FPO, FPC, and if I belong to Maharashtra, you know many companies are working very fine. In other parts of the country, FPCs are working very, very fine. And third concept is what ma'am is sharing. Fortunately, before coming here, I attend the meeting of MORD and RLF, which is completely working for SHG. There are 10 crore women with 92 lakh SHG groups. And bank has sanctioned, disbursed more than 12 lakh crore to them. And that just even I was fighting with the additional secretary. Why are you giving this much target to us? 2.2 lakh crore disbursement target has been given for the current year. And Honorable Prime Minister has given a target to the ministry. Lakhpati Didi 3 3 crore already achieved. Now next target, Honorable Prime Minister is given 6 crore by 2029. So by and you see, as a banker, obviously if I am giving a money, my first concern is whether I am going to get back or not. But thank God and touch wood that right now that NPA is not much in SSG.
I was just about to ask.
It's not much. Though since last 1 year it has started because of MFI stress across the countries there. But that concern, the government is also very much concerned, and then they've put their machinery, SRLM and NRLM on the job to help the banks to recover. And now the next concept what government of India is thinking is given to us, individual entrepreneurship. That groups is okay, but let us develop individual women enterprise. So she should earn some money. She should be independent. So 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh rupees loan we are given. As a state bank, we are having 2 products, Swayam Siddha and Nari Shakti. And out of this, we found that almost there are 30 activities, which is very common. 95% women prefer this 30 activity. We developed a project and we decided for particular activity, this much the amount. So suppose some woman wants to do poultry, for example, at a very small scale. We know poultry require 2 lakh rupees. So she has nothing to do. She should visit the branch and fill the form and get it 2 lakh. We will not ask anything. No DPR, no detailed project report, nothing. We simply pass on. But still, this was the manual. Now NRLM has developed one app, Locas. Through this, the women will apply. We have integrated. They have integrated with the Jansamat, and we have integrated Jansamat with our internal platform, processing platform. So this will going to complete automatic journey. Means no manual intervention required. Once she feed the data, it will come. All due diligence will take place, and the loan will be sanctioned. So the way technology is being adopted by the bank, and the convenience bank is trying to provide the applicants and the borrowers is like anything. And this is the only what we call the solution, because the volume we are handling right now, SBI is handling 52 crore account, 52 crore customers. So you think about 53 crore, how we can see. I myself, agri-business unit, I am heading agri-business unit, having more than 2 crore farmers with us. It's not so easy. We are having a 12 lakh SHG groups, more than 1.25 crore women members. So it's not easy to handle manually. So ultimately, we are moving to the technology platform, and we are doing like this thing. And one small thing, just 1 minute I will take. I want to that Government of India, Honorable Prime Minister has clearly mentioned farm to fork and double the income of the farmer. Once we talk about the double of the income farmer, so farmer should not be only producer. Abhi tak kya ho raha? Abhi tak what is happening is growing the crop, nothing else. But government is saying not only raising the crop, but he should be processor. So there are a lot of schemes like PMFM is there, Agri Infra Fund is there. So first level processing, second level processing, he himself can do at the farm itself. Suppose I am now you see lot of videos are there. Poly house, each 1 acre poly house is giving more than 5 lakh rupees per annum, minimum. So even you are having a 1 acre land, you need not to do anything. You give someone else, he will give you 5 lakh rupees to you. You need not to bother. And see, you visit the cucumber, then capsicum, and then tomatoes. All these things are being grown in good amount. And why it should go to the somewhere else 100 kilometer, 200? If they can be processed something at the farm level itself, or based on the FP or based on the SHG, then transportation cost will be reduced. Then loading, unloading cost will be reduced. So all these things are happening and going to happen. But only thing is that what we believe, technology is going to make see change in the world coming days. And this is the only option. No other option we can. If we want to survive, we have to adopt the technology. That's either you as a farmer, either me as a bank, or as a businessman, whoever is there in this whole ecosystem, to adopt the technology. Only is the solution. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think that's a good segue now into the food tech and food processing segment of the session, because moving the farmer from just being a producer to a processor is really where value creation is going to happen. So with that, I think we next move to a keynote address. Dr. Parvatam, if I could invite you to just set the context for food tech.
Yeah, good afternoon to all of you. So as of now, we heard about the digital tools and government to policies intervention in improving the livelihoods of the farmers. So from farm to fork. So I will restrict my comments from seed to plate only. Because this is the post-harvest technology, that is the area wherein Central Food Technological Research Institute, Mysore, is working extensively for the past 76 years. Last year, we completed our Platinum Jubilee year. The genesis of the establishment of CFTRI in 1950 itself is the need of the hour-based. You all might, in those generations, the Gen X population are still seniors, might be aware of the Bengal famine. By keeping that in mind, to make India self-reliant in preserving the whatever agricultural produce we produce to feed the mass population in a self-reliant way, by curbing the stopping the imports. So that is the genesis of the thing, and did it. So I don't want to dwell much into that one. The initial years were the establishment years, then acquiring the confidence on parallel with the green revolution through ICR systems. But at the same time, arresting the post-harvest losses with Juroco's technologies, with the fumigation technologies developed by the CFTRI, and the self-reliance in curbing the marketing of international brands like Nestle by developing the Amul milk powder. That is the first greatest contribution of CFTRI. The buffalo milk based milk powder technology. Otherwise, in those days, adulteration and all things are happening, cow milk and things. We are importing a lot, many problems were there. And the latest one is millet based buns, nutri-dense foods. Now we are stepping towards personalized nutrition. So in the entire journey, you can see the confidence, innovation, self-reliance, automation in food industry by in terms of now we are talking about the digital technologies, IoT and all these things. But the basic need is basic automation with the analog models. That is where, whether it is like parboiling of the rice, the entire world, what they are using the parboiling of the rice technology is actually happened next to Amul in CFTRI. The leaf cup machine, a small thing, we may use and throw it. The leaf cup machine, hand pressed, foot pressed thing, leaf cup machine was developed in CFTRI in 1980s. The government of India recognized and released a stamp in commemorative in 93 also. So now we are talking about the developing, wealth from the waste, biodegradable cutlery, all these things were there. Similarly, Chauhanji has mentioned that millet-based things. So of course, now government has given a boom for the millet-based things. Otherwise, the ancient crops are the superfoods. So everywhere value addition is a part and parcel of CFTRI activity. The retard technology for packaging, the entire industry is weighing on this one. It got its origin in CFTRI. So whether it is packaging tech, now we are also working on the smart packaging and all these aspects. But one important thing during this preservation aspects is you need to keep one thing in mind. Despite all these developments, in the food processing sector, global rankings, if you see, our rank is number 32 in dairy industry. Contribution is 0.2%. Shame. We have surplus milk production. Similarly, We are the largest producer of egg, poultry. Our contribution in food processing in terms of poultry is 0.3%, 64th rank. So like this, if you say the digits, that means we are losing a lot. That is the why post-BRICS summit, Prime Minister wants to bring the startup ecosystem, wants to give more dynamism and momentum to the startup ecosystem, because just with the traditional conventional government policies, you cannot beat that. Brazil at the time, 4 years back, the startup ecosystem was contributing 30% to their GDP. Imagine. So now our target is by 2047, India also should reach to that target, at least 23%. That is why a lot much boom has been given. Other guests were mentioning about the women Nari Shakti. Yeah, exactly. It's very, very important for the self-help group sustainability, especially in states like Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka especially. They're very, very strong. The Dwakra women concept developed just with the post-harvest technology-based value addition to the foods. That by supporting to the women. Now it is the 14,000 crores they rather. You imagine the earlier, sorry to say, but the earlier government actually has taken away 12,000 crores rupees from the Dwakra women savings for running the show. But of course, now it see like that much empowerment to the women has happened through the self-help group training programs. That is the reason United Nations has recognized this year, now the ongoing year is International Year for the Woman Farmer, because the woman is responsible for preserving the germplasm, for multiplying the germplasm, for cultivation and implementing the logistics, for selling and making the savings, to translate this into the subsequent generations. So that much empowerment and enabling is there for the women thing. And another important thing from the post-harvest point only, I would like to mention one point. All these digital technologies, IoT and all the things, as the other guests mentioned, yes, we are having a surplus production in food, grains especially. Okay, through public distribution system, it is happening. But at the same time, lot much is going to waste also, rotten. It is not that one value addition. Yes, government is very, very particular about the value addition so that the farmers our producers can empower themselves. Yes, we can produce the thing. We can produce with the precision agriculture, and it will ease the labor cost and everything. As sir has mentioned just now, 70% of the agricultural produce is produced by the farmers globally, having less than 2 acres land on their ocean. But in such cases, India slightly may be better. But if you really use these digitalized technologies, they can improve their cultivation methods and other things. But at the same time, when the harvest is ready, the current technology is maximum 2 hours before remote sensing and meteorological signals will be there. The technology is there in India. The respective governments can warn the farmers. But within 1.5 hours, 2 hours of pouring rain or whatever maybe, they should be in a position to shift their agricultural produce from open drying into the silos, whatever, storage places. But that is not happening. Chili, paddy, or all the things, tur dal, all the things. This is what we are seeing, the natural vagaries, they are succumbed to that one. The lack of proper blockchain technologies in the post-harvest, especially once it's the harvest to go to cold chains, still we are lacking the proper cold chain technologies. In this sector, CSIR actually did good job through Government of India mission mode projects like floriculture mission. It's under agricultural point, I'm telling you. Thousands of farmers got empowered with the floriculture mission. Very indigenous technology of a cold chain based units were developed especially in the North India, Himachal Pradesh and other areas. It's quite successful. Farmers got full empowerment. Now, thousands of farmers are in a race to export the market, cut flowers. Similarly, aroma mission, Third phase has happened last year at the Aramo mission of CSIR got its Vignan Puraskar also, the entire team, led by the CMAP Lucknow. Again, a huge quantity of export business and saving the revenue has happened in the essential oils and perfumes industry and fragrance industry. As you all know, that 2023, the mission project on millets. CFTR has started the millet working in 1960s. Now, Government of India recognized it later, and in 2023, the entire India worked on the millet, especially CFTR is the nodal lab for at least 14 different organizations joined with that, and 55 altogether technologies. Cooking millet is very tough in earlier days. Now we have Center for Excellence, first of its in the world. Farmers can come with the raw material, 250 to 750 tons per hour. They can polish it, they can make a flour, they can make flooring flakes, and they can go just by paying the 10,000 rupees. You see, this is the Center for Excellence supported by the RKVY. Huge technological innovations are happened in the post-harvest things. So my thing is, it is not the produce itself. They are giving the value addition to the farmers and helping in appropriate way is very thing. As somebody mentioned, the empowering the cluster-based development, cluster-based value addition. That is what the Ministry of Finance through Nirmala Sitharaman ji has adopted. Kalyan Karnataka 7 districts. The other this is called Hyderabad Karnataka backward area. All the 7 districts, they identified the major produce. Finance Ministry has funded through NABARD. They established the units, and now they are going to be inaugurated. Each district 3. It is like OD, one district, one product, or whatever maybe. It's on parallel with the common incubation facility and a PMFMG. Such things were there, and a lot much support is there. But again, here the major lion's share or major share was given to the woman because for the sustainability point of view. So further, I would like to add later. And stop here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Parvatam. So interesting perspective. So moving not only to processing, but also to floriculture, millets, and different, I wouldn't call it diversified, but differentiated crops where even through production value can be increased. I think good segue into that theme. The one question I have around this is, you mentioned this centralized processing unit where people are coming in and doing grinding and polishing and creating flakes, etc. So, and Mr. Goyal mentioned FPOs and collectivization. You had mentioned that too. So should the thrust really be around targeting collectives with the to build capacity, which can then be like a hub and spoke model where the FPOs or the SHGs are really the targets for building out this processing capacity and financing as well. And then they are trained to propagate those technologies into local clusters and crops. Is that the right strategy? Or should it be diffused all the way down to the farm itself?
No, it is the capacity building and skill development is the major major thing that plays role in all these things, because FPOs like women self-help and groups. You see, CFTR is R&D wise, 40% of the scientific, I mean, the entire contribution from the scientific staff is 40% is in skill development and capacity building. Training is a daily event what we do, and we will do hand holding once they establish or once they get support from the government. Within a 1 year period as based on the MOE and other things, our people will go and do the hand holding and support that one. And that is where our success stories actually lies. See, during the entire thing now, almost 5,000 licenses we have given to the industries during all the years with around 500 technologies developed. So all these right from the pickles, what you say, it also what not everything will be based on the gulab jam based on in the years 1960s. So for example, Priya Foods Industries, now you see that one pickles technology. So everything is like that. So training and capacity building is very, very essential, and upskilling the FPOs and other people to disseminate the knowledge and to support the farmers at the ground level is another important thing. See, for example, through Millet Mission, self-help groups in Karnataka were supported. within 3 months, they started their business in Amazon. They were all crossed the Lakpati disease category. And they came to Bharat Mandapam in Delhi. They sold their technologies directly by traveling in flight. You see, that is the beauty of this entire thing. Yeah, that-
Inspiring stories. So just little conscious of the time. I know we started at 2:20. We were supposed to end by 3:30. Should we go on for the full 1.5 hours? Is everybody on the panel okay to go on till 3:45? Okay. So moving on to Professor Nayak. So we were having an interesting conversation about, again, building on specializing or specialization of crops. We were talking about it from the context of nutrition, but also value addition. People are willing to pay a lot, for example, for GI tagged or food products which have special properties which can be traceable back. So any thoughts on how we can evolve a structure where we're able to trace back properties all the way back from the plate to the plant? I won't say seed. It could be a fruit, or it could be a vegetable, or it could be an oil seed or a pulse. But any thoughts on how do we actually manage this entire chain of traceability of value and nutrition from the plate all the way back to the farm? Some factors that you could touch upon.
I think there are so many questions intertwined in this one single question. So it's difficult to, first of all, the blockchain technology and the farm to fork is a fashionable term imported from somewhere else. If at all, it should have been farm to finger and factory to fork. So that is first thing. And it is mainly a concern of the 5% elites who would like to trace all the way from farm to the fingers that they would like to have. We have far greater problems. We have nearly 30% of our children stunted, 14% entire population under malnourishment. So those kind of problems are far greater problems, and also the food security. We are only 0.1 hectares of land per capita. Some, countries like USA is about 0.5 hectares per capita. So within this 0.1 hectare per capita, how are we going to feed nutritious food to our people is a far greater problem than, I think, fork to the farm to fork. And in that sense, from my personal background, and the personal experience, which is almost now 10 years old, because now I have shifted to areas like electrodynamic cleaning of petroleum crude, etc. But earlier I used to work with Unilever, and we were involved quite a lot in partly with the concept, which was the single origin tea as well, okay, which was branded like single origin tea. But moving on, I personally feel the other areas which I'm just going to touch upon would be far more important. For example, if we are going to support the population which is likely to be within 10 years 160 crores, how do we provide the energy calories as well as protein calories to people? And so far as energy calories are concerned, the major crops that we use, rice, wheat, and other cereals, none of them really produce more than, say, about 3,000 kilograms per hectare as a grain mass. Potato is slightly better, but there is a limited arable land for cultivation of potato. Potato gives you something like about 4 tons of dry mass starch per hectare. But while I was working on honorary basis with Ministry of Food Processing Industries, something caught my attention, that there is a banana called the Grand 9, G9 as it is called now. It produces it can deliver nearly about 90 tons of bananas per hectare every year. And if you remove the skin, if you dry it, you can get something like about 10 tons per hectare of flour, which is suitable for making bread. And this is a material which is already in use in Africa. So Africans do not use wheat or rice for making their bread. They use this banana flour. Now, if we have to adopt this technology, again, there are so many challenges. But that is where the food processing industry also must play its own role. Because as we look at it historically, the advancements in agriculture and advancements in food processing also have gone hand in hand. In fact, the discovery of fire to cook food was the first invention in food processing. Okay, so if we actually trace the entire history, so when we want to say use something like this G9 banana, the drying technology is going to play an important role. Second thing is banana is popularly, not popularly, but people are scared of banana because it uses nearly about 200 centimeters of water per year. Now, 200 centimeters of water is not a small quantity of water. But then here again, the technology can find a way out of the total radiation, which is approximately 1 kilowatt per meter square when the sun is shining in the sky. Only half of it is something which is utilizable for photosynthesis. Remaining half the energy simply hits the plant. And why this large quantity of water is required? It is because to control the temperature of the plant, which is biologically most optimal, the plant has to do transpiration. Now, if we can actually reduce the heat load on the plant itself, you don't require so much of water. And there are technologies which are being developed in other areas, like, for example, which is called the multi-layer Bragg dispersion technology, by which if you have that kind of a foliar spray, which will be on the top of the canopy of coconut, of the banana, it will reflect all the infrared radiation, which brings heat, but all the radiation which is required for photosynthesis would be available to the banana plant. So all these kind of technologies are challenges that we have to take, and then that is the way I think we'll have to go forward. The second thing which I was going to consider was the post-harvest losses, considered to be something like about 17 to 20%. But most of these losses really take place because it's a system which has several segments from the farm to the actual factory, and at every interface there is a loss. The first greatest loss takes place at the farm itself, and refrigerated vehicles and even the warehouses is a very big challenge to us. We use refrigeration technology, which is well proven everywhere else, but it is not necessarily the most ideal technology. You need refrigeration for the reefer trucks as well as for the warehouses. The reason is these warehouses and reefer trucks absorb that 1 kilowatt energy from sun whenever it is incident on it. Now, the kind of insulation which is currently being used is puff, and that gives you a thermal conductivity which is about 33 milliwatt per meter per degree centigrade. But one can use vacuum super insulation multilayer, which will bring down that thermal conductivity to something like 0.1 milliwatt per meter per degree centigrade. It will reduce the heat load on warehouses and the reefer vans by a factor of 100. So in fact, we at one point of time, for example, we used to vend ice cream, and I measured or rather estimated the amount of electricity which is required to sell 1 kilogram of ice cream on the streets. It is 4 kilowatt hours. Now we can reduce it by a factor of 100. And that is what we did actually. And that is why we were able to vend ice cream in Bikaner without refrigeration. But then you need also phase change materials to be used along with that. Now there is another, what is a phase change material? That will absorb heat and melt, but keep the temperature constant. And otherwise you can extract heat from it and it will solidify like ice. So it is nothing but a different kind of a, say, material like ice. Ice melts and solidify at 0 degrees centigrade. You can design a phase change material which can take you to something like about minus 18 degrees centigrade. The only thing is such kind of phase change materials which are available in the market today, they are toxic. Then you have to use stainless steel as the material of construction. We invented a material which is an edible material, which can give you phase change at minus 18 degrees centigrade and use simple GI as a material of construction. That patent is now expired. So anybody wants to make use of that particular patent and make such kind of refers, and it will be very useful. I am not involved in that route now, but it is something. So these are the kind of,
That's a very interesting. I mean, the move from food processing to materials, and the thing about India is that given the size of our population, any material that we decide to adopt,
yes,
the price per unit will automatically start to drop
absolutely.
because of the scale at which any of these successful innovations can be propagated. So this is, I think, a very interesting.
But I would like to make one more
Sure, sir.
point. All the speakers today have spoken about the problem of training the farmers, okay, so that they can adopt any new technology which comes to them. The tragedy is, in this country, we have neglected universalization of quality education so much that today 3 crores of children who are eligible to go to school are out of school. Okay. Our total expenditure on education system, or the government contribution to that, is nearly about 8 to 9 lakh crores. China, for a smaller number of children, spends something like about 70 lakh crores. Now, this is the way, I think, if we, unless we really address this particular issue, how do we increase the government spending from 2.7% of GDP to something like 6%, which has been our ambitious target right from 1969. But we have not done anything about it. We just go back, go up and down. And therefore, this is the kind of a situation. We still have 20% illiteracy. China, there is only 1% illiteracy. Now, innovation cannot be a prerogative of CFTRI or IIT. Innovation will be done, can be done by anybody in the field, anybody in a factory, and that will happen only if quality of education and universalization of education is accomplished by us. And I think all of us must really plead for that. Today, even in Maharashtra, I can see the way government is completely withdrawing from the educational systems, and the education is becoming a marketable commodity which will be afforded by only a small fraction of the whole population. The remaining people will keep on really, asking for that kind of a help from CFTR or IIT to train them. But this is not the way a pyramid of a technology-based country can really operate. So let me stop here.
Oh, thank you, Professor. I think very different and interesting perspectives. Moving on to Dr. Joshi. Sir, again, sticking to the broader theme of not only food processing, but looking at the entire value chain and touching upon materials and propagation of innovation through materials down to democratization, not propagation, but democratization of that. What are some of your thoughts about innovation around materials, especially in the value chain, both post-processing and maybe even pre-harvest?
Good afternoon. I think it is really great pleasure to make the audience more interested in such ongoing discussion, because it is a post-lunch session. And I'm very lucky to have to meet Professor Naik sir, because we are alumni of the same institute. I'm really proud of that. And by seeing this development, I belongs to the background of materials, especially the polymers, which can be normally used for your various packaging. Basically, it has been classified into the 4 categories where we need a material should be biodegradable, biocompost, and fiber base, as well as we need some new materials derived from the marine, like waste, cellulose, etc., where Mahatma Gandhi University in Kottayam has opened this startup about the cellulose they are generating from the marine waste. Then if you just go for that, there are following things which we need to comply. That is, must follow that packaging, the moisture barrier, gas barrier, as sir has told, insulation, thermal management of food packaging is very, very important. Perhaps lot has been done and driven to the next level. However, we also need to have a good mechanical as well as the thermal properties, plus antimicrobiological. And finally, I think Dr. Prabodh, we need to also have a regulatory, you can say, comply. That is very, very challenging. So knowing this paradigm, first thing I just wanted to suggest you, the rational design is very important for food packaging materials. For example, I would like to select one host system where it is not going to fulfill my requirement. I have to tailor the moieties of my polymers, where a lot of reports are there. People used to modify polylactic acid by using various filler and additives, which can be a best barrier for the food comply requirement. For example, I took a bread and I put it into the conventional packaging. Perhaps you might have been seen in the market and the stores where they put into some kind of plastics. And now there is a paper. If you coat with polylactic acid, followed by polyurethane, small amount, titanium oxide as some additives, plus you have some bio-derived materials. If we make this combination, it is the best which can comply antimicrobiological, biodegradable, as well as mechanical strength and thermal. Finally, after 10 days of shelf life, if you just look at the conventional bread which is kept on the store, they have mentioned some expiry date. And after that, perhaps you get smell or you cannot eat. But now this kind of coating, which is a very thin, even we cannot recognize the paper has been coated. We are able to protect and save the food. That is the first target. So rational design is the best remedy for food packaging, where we can increase the shelf life, increase that. Sir told that the thermal management for the food packaging is very important. However, we can take a lot of challenges to comply the regulatory things, because nowadays you might have been heard there is a microplastics which also people found in the blood, and perhaps we have to be very careful about this packaging which should not damage the health. Just look at the statistics in US. 75,000 people are having a diseases due to the foodborne, and then 5,000 are having real hospitalization, maybe 3,500 are deaths, and plenty of problems are there. So we need to be very careful in this particular segment, where we can go for the finding sustainable, recyclable, and which is not a threat to the environment. And therefore we need to tailor what exactly we are packaging. And perhaps many things have been reported. It is not the new, and the developments are ongoing. So we tried to develop the emulsion, which is for the bread packaging in my institute, and in Nashik MIDC we have given for the production, where Savitra Printer, who is the stakeholder for that, they started, you can say, using this coating for their bread packaging, and they are vendor for some company where they are supplying this type of things. Perhaps it is a new venture where not only that, we have also materials which in a nano age, 0-dimensional, 1-dimensional, 2-dimensional. So I can call in general the aspect ratio of the materials. If we could manage it, we can fulfill the dream of complying the desired properties into the packaging materials. So for example, barrier can be possible, thermal can be possible, biodegradable can be possible, and however we overcome the challenges with the existed or conventional materials. And therefore, I'm sure this type of development is unending, because as research has no end, what you found, maybe the next couple of years, you will find a much better version. As in electronics market happen, you find that the new phone or new computer, similar to that, in this also domain, we have a more challenges which we can overcome, like smart materials, or you can radio frequency identification of the packaged materials, where the government has especially the capsules given to the TB patient. If the TB patient is irradiating is a challenge, and therefore they made some kind of control. If the patient open that capsule, they will get a SMS. It is surprising to you that if the patient is avoided to take that tablet which is packaged, and they are not getting the alert at a different levels, alerts are there, and then they identify again patient so that they can continue the treatment of that patient. So it is because of only the smart packaging, it is possible we can sustain this kind of problems. And therefore, any challenge is not a challenge, but it is a kind of opportunity to modulate our requirement and tailor that kind of moieties, and we can overcome that. So I hope there are plenty of such materials which in the food, using the marine kind of you can say food, or the fruits which has the again sensitive to the temperature, and therefore there is TTI, that is temperature time identification. So we tried to do one small experiment. The polyacrylonitrile, that is a thread of our sweater, is mixed with nitrocellulose. It can act as a best thermal sensor. Small addition of nanoflex of graphene we added, it demonstrated a consistent linear response to the temperature. Even a small film I can embed along with that my fruits or something, I can manage to get the information of that particular temperature inside the box what I filled. And therefore, it has a simple kind of film, maybe 2 by 2 centimeter, like a sticker. You just put it, and perhaps it is a good, not kind of any change of color, but we can get information about that particular temperature of my internal food, where like the temperature of the brain tumor is different than the body tumor. So they use the liquid crystal to find out. Similar to that, the temperature of outside is different than that my package food entity. It is possible to analyze, and you can take a decision as for further consumption. As madam told, the huge tomatoes to be dispersed, but there is some kind of problem. So we can identify that based on the sticker which is used. Perhaps a lot of things also have been demonstrated in this domain, and I hope this is a very good opportunity, especially the food industry and stakeholders. Really, you have a challenge in packaging. You can discuss where it is possible to get some solutions with these kind of technocrats who are working in this domain. And I hope we can sustain, recycle, all these are the keywords. But saying is something, and if you just go to any function, they are using some throwing plates for the eating, but actually it is not biodegradable. They are using polyethylene, and they are telling that these plates are biodegradable. You just look at, and you will find a debris. And therefore, we have to overcome how to use the materials. We have to educate them how to use the materials. That is a very challenge, because polymers can be used from bucket to rocket. and we must know where and how to use and recycle it. And therefore, that kind of strategy should be adopted, followed by the rational design, which fulfill the requirement for the further applications.
Thank you.
So I hope no more things are required to go ahead, because a lot of
There's
things
a lot of
perhaps
ideas,
there.
yeah. I was running out of time,
Yes,
Professor.
yes.
So
Okay, so I can
and-
stop here and please continue that.
sorry, but we are running out of time. We have Dr. Prabodh Halde. So, pace of innovation versus regulating the pace of innovation. I'm going to leave it an open-ended question for your thoughts from, you can just borrow the mic. And I'm not just referring to innovation on IT, but also on materials, packaging, seeds. You know, what are some of your experiences? How can we get agri and food products to market faster? What are some of the impediments?
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. I think the last one, I was just thinking whether I will get a chance to say, as a regulatory is the last thing to in any company which people believe is the cost, but it is actually opposite. Regulatory makes your product compliance, and compliance only make your product capable of selling into the market and export. I really like the topic, this about the agro and food tech. India, if has to grow, I need not to repeat again, but where 62% of the population is dependent on agriculture and agricultural processing, because we are agrarian economy, which contributes only less than 18% of the GDP, unless and until we add value, as Professor Naik also said, this problem will not solve. So it is not the industry problem, it is a social problem. ये social problem है. आज किसान भाई का आय नहीं बढ़ा डबल तो हमें प्रॉब्लम है. आज अगर हमारे यूथ लोगों को जॉब नहीं मिला, प्रॉब्लम है. एग्रीकल्चर एंड फूड प्रोसेसिंग 1 करोड़ रुपए अगर इन्वेस्ट करते हैं तो 10 जॉब क्रिएट होते हैं. तो हमें यही इंडस्ट्री को बढ़ाना देना है. कमिंग टू योर क्वेश्चन सर, इनोवेशन, यस, regulations are invisible things, but they are very important for the product innovation also. I will give the speed to the market. In China, generally, in 1 year, 35,000 product comes in the 1 year. हमारे इंडिया का रेट है 18,000 नए प्रोडक्ट आ रहे हैं. कोविड में ये 9,000 था. तो ये 5 साल में our growth is very good. Every year we are launching the new product or new category or new variant. General cycle time होता है 9 महीने से 12 महीने तक. But because of D2C, the time has shrunk even 2 months and 3 months. But again, this is not good thing. क्योंकि अगर उसको स्टेबिलिटी के लिए 3 महीना चाहिए, 6 महीना चाहिए, तो उसको चाहिए. मेरे दोस्त नीलेश अमृतकर बैठे हुए, without compromising the pesticides, without compromising the heavy metals, you cannot export. So I would say that food processing innovations are very important, but without compromising the quality and within the framework of regulatory. Regulatory is become a enabling. Most of the regulations, most of the FSSAI or legal metrology has made it online. I'm really happy to see that kind of structure where government is saying, don't come to my office. You apply online. If you don't get a license within 60 days, it's an auto license issued. This kind of openness has happened in this country. However, long way to go. When we always compare with US and UK, I don't know why we should compare that. Let people also compare our own examples. We have done so much of cheap innovations, very, very low cost innovations we have done. And there are so many success stories. But just to last closing remark, I would say, sir, इंडिया को फूड प्रोसेसिंग बढ़ाने के लिए इंडस्ट्री का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. ये हमारे इंडिया की नीड है, हमारे भारत की नीड है. यही सेक्टर है एग्री एंड फूड जो हमारे यूथ को एम्प्लॉयमेंट देगा और हमारे किसान का आय बढ़ाएगा. क्योंकि हमारा प्रोसेसिंग नंबर 12% 15% है. चाइना और बाकी के कंट्री का 35% to 85% तक है. ये हमें बढ़ाना ही पड़ेगा. देयर इज नो सब्सिडी कैन इवन मेक फार्मर मोर empowered unless and until we start adding value. जो 1 रुपए का पानी 15 रुपए में बेच सकेंगे, यही टेक्नोलॉजी है जो कर पाएगा. तो इसके लिए जितने भी लोग हैं यहाँ पे, we should only focus on how I can add value rather than creating a problems. Thank you, sir.
I have a provocative follow-up question. Are our regulators fast enough to be able to deal with? I'll take an example, and we have Mr. Goel from SBI. See, I think RBI is being very proactive in the financial sector, trying to play a regulator which facilitates innovation and also regulates it at the same time. On the agri and food processing side, are our regulators similarly oriented? Or if not, can we do something by way of whatever way, right, to make them?
I understood. I am saying you, sir. I always see the water is half filled and half not filled. India is growing. There are challenges, inherent challenges. We all know that. The C part particularly. I will not elaborate that. That is also there. But regulators, what I have seen over last 10 years, digitalization has really adopted well. Digital is becoming speed, and the person in Mumbai or person in say Chandrapur, he need not to travel to all the way to regulator. His work can be done online. All the government sites in the regulatory particularly are working online. There are some challenges, inherent challenges. Cost have increased. Traceability is a problem. Quality checks, cost is a problem. But I think that is inevitable. We have to invest in that becoming a quality. Regulators, when we talk about US में नहीं चलता है, UK में नहीं चलता है, हमारे regulations बहुत अच्छे हैं. Implementation का हर state का अलग अलग problem होता है, because every state operating is different. So central cannot impose equal regulation all across. So though that is a challenge. जैसे कोई state particularly बहुत stringent है, जैसे महाराष्ट्र, तमिलनाडु, कर्नाटका, they are stringent states. Because their penetration is very high or whatever. Other state may not be. I'm not questioning which. There are some ease of doing the business initiatives taken by the Niti Aayog recently. We have been working, and actually ICC is also part of that committee, and where we have spoken about many initiatives on the ease of doing business. They're adopting. They are adopting. Regulators understand. And with the Honorable Prime Minister, his vision is to make less of government and more on governance. Governance is important, less of government. I think there are silver lines, and we are hopeful this sector will grow with the innovation, but without compromising the quality. This new trend of startup is little worrisome because they really don't respect the regulation and the quality of the product. We have to have, अगर 9 महीने लगते हैं शादी के बाद तो 9 महीने ही लगेंगे. You cannot have cesarean and 3 महीने में निकाल दो. That would be a problem. Thank
On
you.
that note, no, thank you. That's insightful, because that's exactly where we have to use that analogy so many times when building software also.
Sir, it is not possible, sir. Sometimes we have to actually have a courage to say no, but
Right.
people do not have a courage to say bosses. Nahi ho sakta.
No, thank you. We've gone about 30 minutes over, but it's been a very interesting discussion with very diverse perspectives. I don't think Mr. Bagri is here to summarize. So Shrikant, you want to summarize? Yeah.
Firstly, very big, even before I summarize, a big round of applause to our panelists. Thank you very much. We had absolutely fantastic conversation centered and started with Prakash speaking about the government's initiatives. And I think a big round of applause to the government to build a digital stack, which is going to be like the Aadhaar for farming. I think that is the moment in life, in the history of this country, that we are participants of, where we are seeing the Aadhaar of farming coming in. That's going to solve. I know many of the people in this room have questions around, can I help answer the importer about traceability and so on? And these are the kind of initiatives that the government is taking to really grow and boost our country. We spoke about whether a startup is actually doing a real problem solving or not. And that's a very interesting point that was brought out. We spoke about how startups should increase inclusivity and not increase exclusivity. So that was a very interesting point that came out, and how startups and how we can bring technology or build technology with women, with tenants, not just hand over after making something. We also had a very interesting, and I'm really impressed that SBI is, and maybe the banking sector you can get a loan for 2 lakhs in 15 minutes. I mean, a big round to Mr. Goel and to the SBI and Government of India. Yeah, phenomenal. Sir, we also saw this very interesting thing on the investment in education. I think that was a very interesting point that Professor brought out. and also about the packaging, the technology, and about the tech in the and the online presence in the regulatory framework. So I think it's a whole variety of subjects. For the information of everyone in this room, Indian Chamber of Commerce has a very active food and agri division. We invite you to participate in more and more of our programs. We have almost 40-50 events that happen across the year. And our next big event coming up will be Krishi Vikram, which will happen in July in Delhi. And it's a exciting event which will happen, and we invite you all. Again, a very big round of applause to our panelists, and big thank you to all of them. A small memento from Indian Chamber, which I would request you all to please accept one by one. Thank you.
And I apologize to the audience that we didn't leave time for questions. I'm sure if we opened up the questions. Okay, thank you.
And sorry, before I forget, our moderator who's just done a phenomenal, and by the way, Prakash personally, he and his team are the ones building this digital stack. So he's probably building the Aadhaar for farming himself. So you guys must exchange cards with him for sure. Yes. Yes, please do. Yes, thank you. And Prakash, before you leave, your small token for you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
And I still have a question for you, but then I will let you.
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You covered everybody. Thank you.
So I'm most good friend.
Thank you. Very well. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all of you. Group photo, yeah. Please, sorry. Please can you come up in the front, please? So please.
Right.
Oh, sir. Thank you.
I'm going to send everybody a hi.
Yes, कुछ questions थे हमारे तो questions थे अभी ऐसा है चाय पे चर्चा करते हैं
because we didn't address our issue.
grape industry की बहुत
We didn't address our issue.
okay so after the photo we'll whichever panelist can stay back, we'll definitely certainly